Hi, fourth grade. Welcome to language. I hope you're having a great day. Let's go ahead and get out those language books and open up to lesson 125 on page 245. Today, we're talking about comparing or comparison. Take a look at what I have. That's some show and tell for language today. All right, what is it? It's a bowl, right? Pretty big bowl. About as big as my face. Okay. All right, so I could say that this is a big bowl. There's just one. I'm not comparing it to anything else. So it's just big. But what if I show you this bowl and I show you this bowl? Wow. Well, now I have a comparison. I have two items, the first one and the second one. I could say that this bowl is smaller than that bowl. Or what else could I say? This bowl is larger than this bowl. Now, how did I make that comparison? I had to add something to the word large or big or small. Did you hear what ending mark that I added? ER. When you are comparing two things, we add ER to show that we're comparing two things. Take a look at my sentence on the board. Good morning, Diego. Good morning, Mr. Michael. Hope you're having a great day. Now, I bet these boys had meticulous rooms. So we're going to say that they do. So Diego's room is, look out, Michael. Diego's room is cleaner than Michael's room. Michael, better get to work. I'm just kidding. So for this sentence, we were comparing the cleanliness of two different rooms. So I took the word clean and I attached ER to the end. Let's take a look at that. Clean. Then I put on that ER attachment. And I'm comparing one room to another room. One is cleaner than the other one. I'm sure both of your rooms look immaculate, right? Right. When you're comparing two things, add ER to the end. This is bigger than that. This is smaller than that bowl. But what would happen if I didn't have just one bowl or two bowls? I might have to nest this one inside. What if I had three bowls? Oh my goodness, I need an extra hand. Okay, now this one is the biggest of them all. It's bigger than this one or that one. It's the biggest out of all three. When you are comparing three or more items, three or more things, people, places, whatever, three nouns, you're going to attach EST. I have another memory hook. Let's go back to the ER. How many letters are in ER? 1, 2. ER compares two things. Now, how many letters are in EST? 3. When you have three or more, I just put a little plus sign there. That means more. When you have three or more items, add EST. Did you also hear how I put the word the in front? This is the biggest. This is the largest. Let's see how that looks on the board, okay? Joshua, good morning, Joshua. Joshua's room is the cleanest. Did you hear that? EST. Joshua's room is the cleanest of all. So it's cleaner than Diego's, it's cleaner than Michael's. So Joshua, you get the prize for the cleanest room, okay? No, I'm sure it looks great and all your rooms look fantastic, right? Right. If not, let's get working on that. You've got the time. I know everybody has the time. Okay, today we are talking about comparing or comparison. Use ER to compare two things. EST to compare 3 or more things. I'm going to share my screen with you because there's a couple of rules that we need to keep in mind when we're comparing when it comes to how we spell the word. So let's open up our book to comparing with ER and EST. I'm on page 245. Let's start by looking at the yellow box. It says use ER and EST to compare how things are alike and different. Both adjectives and adverbs use ER and EST to compare. Now, I was comparing bowls. Bowls are nouns, so I was saying one was bigger or larger or smaller than the other bowl. But we could also talk about actions. Remember, words that describe actions are called action verbs. Someone in the purple box there, Nikki ran faster than Calvin did. George ran the fastest of all the runners. So you can't just compare things, you can also compare actions with ER and EST. At this time, I'd like to draw your attention to the green box. There, you're going to see a couple of different spelling rules. Let's look at all 3 of those spelling rules together, and there will be some things I'd like for you to highlight or underline in this green box. Let's take a look. Some adjectives change the spelling of the word when adding ER or EST. Adverbs do not change their spelling, so that's fun. When an adjective ends in a consonant and a Y, change the Y to I before adding ER and EST. Does that rule not sound familiar to us? Oh yes, we've done this several times. Oftentimes when a word ends with a Y, we have to put on our backup blinkers and back up one letter to see what kind of letter comes out in front. Remember, it has to have a consonant in front of that Y. So let's highlight this, please. When an adjective ends in a consonant and Y, then we change that Y to an I before adding ER or EST. Remember how I taught you in times past? I see a consonant, change the Y to an I, then add ER or EST. Let's look at the adjective heavy. Woo, this is a heavy backpack. With heavy, there's no comparison that's happening here. But let's say I have one backpack in this hand and another backpack in this hand. One might be heavier than the other one because there is a consonant, the V. Do you see that V right there? I highlighted both the Y and the V. Because there is a consonant that comes before the Y, we must change the Y to an I and add ER. Woo, this backpack is heavier than the other backpack. Or what if we have 3 backpacks? One could be the heaviest of them all. Let's move on to our next spelling rule. If you have an adjective and it ends with an E, drop the E before adding ER or EST. Once again, we have seen this rule several times throughout this year, how often we have to drop the E before we add on something else or a suffix that begins with an E itself. So, drop the E before adding ER or EST. Strange. Woo, that house is strange. Ooh, that house is stranger than the other house. That is the strangest house in the neighborhood. Okay, we drop the E before adding ER or EST. Let's look at our final spelling rule for today. If you have a short word that ends with a short vowel sound and one consonant, you will double that final consonant before adding ER and EST. Once again, we have seen this rule several times already this year, but this time we're just adding ER or EST to the end. Let's look a little more closely at this rule. When an adjective has only one vowel and ends in a consonant, double the final consonant before adding ER or EST. It is important to note that that vowel should say its short sound. We're not doubling consonants if the vowel has its long sound. okay? So we will double the final consonant before adding ER or EST if we have one vowel and one consonant side by side that it ends with. You heard me use the word big to compare one bowl to another. This is bigger than this bowl. B-I-G-G-E-R. The G needed to be doubled before I added the ER at the end. And then we have the biggest bowl of them all. B-I-G-G-E-S-T. And don't forget, be on the lookout for the word the that comes before words that end with EST. That's a little trick that I've learned. Okay, let's go on to the guided practice and let's try some of this together. This time we're going to be writing ER in the first lines, okay, attaching ER to the original word. And in the last line, we're forming the word with EST. Let's look at number 1 together. Funny. Ooh, that was a funny joke. No comparison is being made here. Ooh, that joke was funnier than the first joke. Now look carefully. Look right here. What does funny end with? A Y. What comes in front of the Y? A consonant. I see a consonant, so we need to change the Y to an I and add ER. That was the funniest joke I'd ever heard. It still ends with the consonant in the Y. Change the Y to an I and add EST. Let's go to number 2. Slow. Slow. If we add ER to the end of that, it will be slower. Notice we did not have to double the W because slower is not its short vowel O sound. How about for the last one? Slowest, slowest. Add EST to the end. Number 3, cool. It's a cool day. It's cooler today than it was yesterday. Just add ER. This is the coolest day of the whole year. Add EST to the end. Now let's move on to the next section. This time you're underlining whether the choice should be the first or the second. Let's look at the instructions. Underline the correct adjective or adverb in each sentence. Number 4, the red racer snake moves the blank of any desert snake. Now I'd like for us to stop for a minute and look for clues within the sentence. Do you see my little aqua blue mark that we have there? What is the word that comes right in front of that or precedes it? This word right here. The. Remember, if we have the word the that comes before the word, that tells us that we're comparing 3 or more items here. So let's choose fastest with EST at the end. Hey, here's another memory hook. How many letters does the have? 1, 2, 3. Huh, how cool. The has 3 letters and EST has 3 letters. That's another memory hook for you to hold on to. Number 2, the temperature in the desert regions is blank than in mountain regions. Now notice how many items we're talking about here. We're talking about desert regions, mountain regions. How many items are we talking about? 2, that's right. Did you also notice this word here? Than. Than is another clue to let us know that we're talking about 2 things. This one and that one. When we're talking about 2 things and we're comparing them, we're going to use ER at the end. But notice what they had to do to the T. What did they do to that? They doubled the T. Why did they have to double the T? Because this was a short word that ended with a short vowel sound and 1 consonant. Double the final consonant before adding ER or EST. Let's move on. Number 6, The cactus, oh, Mrs. Roach would love this one. The cactus is a blank plant than a pine tree because it stores water. Did you see a clue within this sentence to tell us whether we're talking about 2 items or 3 or more? I saw this. Than. We're talking about a cactus, a pine tree. How many items is that? 2. When we're comparing 2 items, we will add ER to the end of the comparing word. Did you see the one that ends with an ER? Now this word originally is sturdy, S-T-U-R-D-Y, sturdy. Why did they change the Y to an I? Remember, if a word ends with an I, you have to back up 1 letter and see what comes in front of it. I see a consonant, change the Y to an I and add ER or EST. Let's go down to our last section. Section 7. Write the adjective or adverb form of the word in parentheses to compare the animals. We're using the word loud. Loud. A dingo is a blank desert animal, then an armadillo lizard. Loud. Well, how many items are we comparing? Dingo, armadillo lizard. 2. Did you see the clue word in the sentence as well? I saw it. Than. Than tells us that we're talking about 2 items that we're comparing. So let's look at the word loud. Let's see if we need to apply any of these spelling rules. Does loud end with a Y? Yes, ma'am, or no, ma'am? No, ma'am, so we don't need to do any changing there. Does it end with 1 vowel and 1 consonant at the end? No, ma'am, I see an OU, and that's 2. So we don't need to double the D at the very end. Do we need to drop an E? No, there's no E in the word at all. So in this case, all we're going to be doing is adding an ER to the end. Louder, L-O-U-D-E-R, louder. One is louder than the other. Let's try this last one. The roadrunner runs the blank of any bird in the desert. Do we see any clues? I see one. The. Remember how many words or how many letters are in the? T-H-E, 1, 2, 3. That reminds me of E-S-T. The roadrunner runs the fastest of any bird in the desert. There's no spelling changes that we need to make here. There's nothing that needs to be doubled because ST is not 1 consonant, it's 2. It doesn't end with the Y and it doesn't end with the E, so no spelling changes here. Just add that EST to the end. Now be careful as you turn the page, beware because you might have to make some spelling changes, but be on the lookout. It's very important to understand, are we comparing 2 items or are we comparing 3? Remember with 3, look for the word the, and then for 2, look for this word than. I bet you'll find it. I can't wait to see you at our calls later on today. I hope you have a great day and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.